This manuscript was nearly lost forever. For generations, it was buried away in the depths of a nameless temple, concealed by the desert and dread. They claim it was written by the first person who inscribed a Thoth. He wasn't simply a god. He was the one. Even the gods relied on the one who gave them form with the power of the word. The master of invisible rules saw soul judgment. Keeper of the secret name you are about to hear. These teachings are not for everyone. However, discoveries from the creator of language, who knew that reality cannot be viewed. It was spoken for the first time in almost 5,000 years. His voice breaks the silence, not as a distant writer of hieroglyphs, but as the soul that realizes the word represents fate. Please stick with me until the end, because if you listen with your heart, you'll discover how to name your world, awaken your soul, and rediscover your truth. This is not simply a document. It's a reflection of your sacred words. And now is the moment for you to speak. Chapter 1. The Protector of the Eternal Word. Before the first breath, shaped the vacuum. Light existed before it was given a name. I'm Thoth, the one who writes in the air with a fire quill, the protector of the word that never dies. From the brink of time, I've seen souls lose their proper names, looking outside for what has always been etched in their hearts. Listen, awakening soul, what you are about to hear is more than simply words. They are the vibrations that support worlds. The echoes of the primordial words continue to resonate deep within you. Every syllable you say after discovering this fact will be a key that opens or closes the doors to reality. Long ago, when the planet was young and gods roamed among men, there was a scribe called Carrie. For years, he duplicated hieroglyphs on temple walls, assuming they were only decoration. One night, while carving sacred words by starlight, something remarkable happened as he said Raza's hidden name aloud. The hieroglyphs began to shine with their own light from the papyrus, and bright things appeared before his vision. Katie knew what I had said to the wind from the beginning. Every word, whether written or uttered with full knowledge, is a form of creation, not merely empty noises from a clever mouth, but invisible architects constructing the fabric of the universe. The writer realized he didn't just transcribe the gods' words. He embodied them and brought them to life in the physical world. However, his elation turned to fear when he realized he had also pronounced words of destruction. Unknowingly, he had written about wars, disease, and separations, all of which manifested themselves in his and the lives of those surrounding the temple. The power of the word works both ways. It can produce either paradise or an abyss, depending on the speaker's consciousness. That night, I looked to be carrying pure vibration, the echo of every word ever spoken or yet to be spoken, rather than the ibis head and human body that most people consider me to have. I talked to him without placing my lips directly on his soul. A child of dust longs for eternity. You've learned the secret that distinguishes gods and humanity. You must now make a choice. Forget what you saw and go back to sleep. Alternatively, become the keeper of the eternal message. Carrie selected the light, and from that moment on, he became one of my most dedicated followers. But before I gave him complete wisdom, I taught him the first law of the word. Every word spoken with intent returns to the speaker multiplied. Speak about abundance with sincere confidence, and abundance will follow. Speak of limitation with conviction, and it will emerge. The universe does not evaluate if your words are truthful or false. It responds to their vibrational intensity. Now, awakened soul, I want you to grasp what Katie gained during years of experience. You are not the victim of circumstance. You are responsible for creating your own world. Through your words. Every word you say is like a seed put in the invisible garden of existence. Every idea you have is a prayer, which the elements hear and obey. The spiritual technique I'm about to offer is the first I taught Katie, and it serves as the foundation for all creative ability. For 7 days, at dawn, face east and say, I am the word that knows itself. My verb is synonymous with the eternal verb. What I say in truth takes shape. But don't use this as an empty phrase. I can feel it rising from the core of your chest. Allow it to pulse through every cell until you're not sure where you end and the word begins. After speaking, remain silent for the length of a whole incense stick. Listen with your soul rather than your ears. There, you'll hear my voice say the hidden name you came here to represent. Remember, seeker of the eternal word, you are not who you believe you are. You are the word that chose to manifest itself in the body you name your own. When you realize this fact, every word you say will be sacred. Every stillness is a prayer. Every breath, a verb that generates universes. The journey ahead is arduous, but it is the only way to ultimate freedom. Chapter 2 discusses the word that created the universe. At first, there was silence, and it was lovely. But within that perfection lay an unending longing, the desire to understand itself. I watched the sacred moment when the unique mind whispered the first word, which was its secret name. By speaking for itself, it is divided into infinite possibilities, each of which became a world or a star, a soul like your own. Listen with an open heart, because what I'm about to tell you is the secret to all secrets. You are the original word, deciding to express itself through form. You are not a product of chance or a victim of fate. You are a single awareness expressing itself through the experience of your existence. Long ago, when the pyramids were fresh and initiates knew the mysteries of the heavens, there was a priestess named Navaret. She spent years serving in the Isis temple, believing that the gods were different beings. She had to adore and plead with these entities. One night, while performing ritual ablutions under the full moon, she heard a voice that appeared to emerge from the water. It was my voice uttering the secret I had kept hidden since the beginning of time. Daughter of light, searching for herself. You do not worship gods outside of yourself. You are the goddess who has forgotten her heavenly nature. Every prayer you say is your consciousness speaking to itself. Every ritual you conduct helps your spirit rediscover its creative force. Navaret stayed frozen, not out of fear, but because she knew the truth deep within herself. However, her intellect, which was bred to recognize separation, struggled to accept such vastness. How can I, as a simple mortal, be the same consciousness that created the stars? She inquired about the moon's reflection in the sacred water. Then I showed her the vision I'm now sharing with you. I described how the primordial word spread over the cosmos. At first, it was complete and indivisible, perfect in its unity. However, to properly understand itself, it required a mirror. It needs to experience duality. So the single word was separated into two, light and shadow, above and below, I and you. But it takes too long to be complete again. So it became three, the divine trinity of observer, observee, and observation. Three expanded into four, the fundamental constituents that comprise matter. Four grew to five, the fifth essence that sustains all forms. Five multiplied by six creations. Perfection and balance, six turned into seven. The layers of awareness that connect human and divine, with seven crowned into eight. Eternal rejuvenation, the never-ending circle. The initial word became the universe's sacred geometry, the heavenly music, the dance of the planets. Each number represents a quality of consciousness rather than just a quantity. A note from the cosmic symphony. Your soul was meant to play, never read. Understood. She was more than simply one note. She contained the entire symphony. Whenever she talked with complete consciousness, she activated the very energies that created the universe. Her human voice reflected the cosmic voice and had the power to make or destroy, depending on whether her words were harmonious or discordant. Infrared quickly became one of my most effective scribes after that night. But she needed to understand the second law of the world. Words have force only when they emerge from sacred silence. Words said in fear, haste, or unconsciousness are like barren seeds that find no rich soil. But words born of profound quiet, sincere love, and connection to the sacred heart are like rays of sunlight, kindling life wherever they land. Now, soul, I'd like you to experience what Navaret discovered. Your personal word is linked to the cosmic word, and when you speak from your inner center, the consciousness that spoke the worlds comes through you. What I am about to explain is a spiritual technique that I taught. Never attempted to connect her personal word with the cosmic word. Find a quiet area where you can sit alone, facing east. Place your hands over your heart. Breathe deeply till your breath and the breath of the universe merge. Then speak these phrases as vibrations rising from the center of your chest and spreading to fill the entire space. I am the word that speaks for itself. My voice echoes the eternal voice. What I say in unity is manifested in various niceties. After each statement, stop and quiet, feeling the vibration spread beyond your body, room, and planet. On the 10th breath, repeat the previous 9 full breaths. Say nothing. Listen to the quiet after the word. The gateway to cosmic consciousness is located in the sacred area between sound and stillness. Therein lies your actual name, waiting to be remembered. Remember, seeker of the eternal word, you aren't a single drop, separated from the ocean. You're the entire ocean, experiencing itself as a drop. When you speak from this place of wisdom, your words have the power to move mountains, heal hearts, and awaken souls. Not because you're talking, but because the primordial word is communicating through the form you temporarily refer to as your being. Chapter 3. The secret name that resides within you. There is a name that has never been spoken aloud since the beginning of time. Every soul knows this name before birth, but forgets when reincarnated. A name that resonates in the silence between your heartbeats. Breathe in the pauses between your thoughts. Whispers in a sacred moment. Between sleep and wakefulness. That term refers to you, not the you believe you are, but the you that exists eternally. Listen, soul is looking for your most profound truth. The secret name is the personal verb. The unified awareness spoke when it chose to experience itself through your body. It is not a sound that can be written in letters, but rather a vibration that encompasses your entire existence when you remember it. When you declare it from the sacred center of your being, you awaken a power that has always been there, hidden beneath the veils of incarnation. Long ago, Luxor's temples gleamed with ancestral wisdom. There was a high priest named Amornap. He spent decades reciting invocations, religious formulas, and strong chants. However, something felt lacking. His words moved energies and treated minor maladies. Still, they lacked the transforming force that ancient books described as the gift of a true initiate. One night, while meditating at the temple's most hidden chamber, surrounded by hieroglyphs that appeared to pulse with life, an adept fell into such deep quiet that he lost track of where his body ended and space started. In that sacred gap, he heard something new, his own secret name, spoken not by an external voice, but by his awakened soul. He opted to incarnate the mission because it was a sound without letters, a vibration without form, and an echo carrying his entire cosmic tale in that secret name. He came to give the world the one-of-a-kind gift that only he could provide. For the first time in his life, Amornap that knew exactly who he was. That's when I came before him, not as a photograph, but as a live entity. The child of light seeks its own shadow. You've heard what few mortals do in a lifetime. The name that resonates within you is your cosmic hallmark, your individual frequency in the universal symphony. When you talk with the consciousness of that name, you are not speaking. This is eternity communicating through you. Hemnet wept with recognition rather than despair. He realized he had been utilizing borrowed words, inherited formulas, and learnt prayers for years. However, he now had access to his original term, or personal verb. The vibration connected him directly to the source of all creation. Even the most experienced priests were astounded by Hermann Epp's statements after that night. Were his hands the ones that healed him? No. When he taught, his hidden name resonated with them. His disciples were changed not only by his knowledge, but also by his hidden name, which resonated in their hearts. When he prayed, it was not just his petitions that reached the skies, but also his secret name, which rose like sacred incense. The most significant finding came when Amun-Dip realized his hidden name was not something he possessed. It was who he was. When he fully absorbed that vibration, it became the essence of his existence rather than a tool to be used. I am an app. The priest vanished, and his secret name became flesh. Now, listening soul, understand this. Your secret name is ready to be remembered. It is not something you seek outside of yourself. but something you allow to emerge from within. It is inscribed in the most sacred sanctuary of your heart, waiting for the appropriate moment, when there is sufficient silence to hear it, and the courage to say it. Your secret name contains the code for your cosmic purpose. When you pronounce it consciously, you will discover powers you didn't know you possessed. Your statements will have authority that requires no evidence. Your presence will cast a glow that needs no explanation. Your life will become a living prayer that alters all it touches. The sacred practice I'm about to share with you is one I taught him, a program for accessing his private name. It is a ritual to be performed in utter seclusion. In the calm of the night, when the world is sleeping and your soul is closest to recalling its beginnings. Sit in meditation, with your spine straight and your hands comfortably resting on your lap. Close your eyes and breathe deeply until your breath matches the rhythm of the universe. Then, place your right palm over your heart and repeat quietly but firmly, "I am the name that speaks for itself. My frequency is unique in creation. My hidden name is now disclosed." After these words, maintain perfect silence. Do not listen solely with your ears. Listen with your entire being. Your secret name can appear as a nameless sound, a jolt in your chest, a profound recognition, or a flame that explodes within you. Don't make any judgments or analyses. Just accept it with appreciation. When you believe you have received a revelation, no matter how slight, bring that vibration to your throat and pronounce whatever comes to mind, whether it be familiar words or unfamiliar sounds. Perform this ritual consecutively for 21 nights. Every night, your secret name becomes apparent. At the conclusion, you will have made a conscious connection with your cosmic identity, and everything you say will bear the seal of your spiritual power. Remember, seeker of the eternal name, you are not who people say you are, or even who you believe you are. You're the name. When the soul awareness chose to experience life in your unique body, it spoke. When we live by that fact, every moment becomes sacred. Every word, invocation, and breath is a prayer. Chapter 4. The Sacred Art of Writing Reality. Reality, you see, is not a physical wall into which your spirit slams. It's a flexible papyrus with wet ink on it, waiting for you to remember. Every day, you are the scribe with the words you speak. Every thought you have, every emotion you cultivate, your writing tells the story of your life. However, most people write when asleep with an unsteady hand, resulting in confused phrases that they cannot later decipher. Listen, soul, awakening to your creative potential. Reality does not simply happen to you. You create it. You are the author of your story, the architect of your temple, composer of your symphony. To write consciously, you must first understand that the ink you use is invisible to the eye. It is composed of the most subtle and powerful substance in the universe, your intense concentration. Long ago, when Alexandria was the seat of wisdom in the known world, there was a young scribe named Ptolemy, not the famous astronomer, but a modest copyist working in the great library, transcribing sacred books without fully comprehending their significance. He spent years copying transformational formulas, manifestation rituals, and abundance invocations. However, his own existence remained drab and constrained. One afternoon, while transcribing a particularly ancient papyrus concerning the wonders of creation, something remarkable occurred. The sentence appeared to compose itself, as if an invisible hand guided his quill. The words that appeared are not from the original draft. They came directly from his soul. I am the one who creates my own world. My quill, his attention, my ink, and his intention in my papyrus represent a limitless field of possibilities. Ptolemy froze, astounded by the revelation. He realized he hadn't been duplicating someone else's text for all these years. He had been writing his own world without realizing it. Every word written in ennui strengthened his boredom. Every passage written with limitation reinforced his sense of paucity. That's when I talked to him through the words, straight from the heart of the manuscript, the child of the ink, seeking itself in the word. You've discovered the trick to transforming a copyist into a creator. The reality you are experiencing corresponds to the story you have been writing with your attention. To enhance your experience, You need to modify your writing approach. Ptolemy asked in a trembling voice, "How can I write consciously if I can't see the ink or the papyrus?" I responded, conveyed by the wind's whisper, which stirred the scrolls. Your attention is the quill. Your intention is the ink. Your imagination is the papyrus. Every time you keep a picture in your mind with the conviction that it is real, you are creating that reality and the intangible record of your existence. Ptolemy became a scribe from that day forward, taking stock of his own life every morning before touching any manuscript. He spent time consciously writing on the unseen papyrus of his fate. He envisioned his ideal day. He felt the feelings of each desired encounter. He said the words he wanted to hear. He envisaged the scenarios in which he wanted to live. But the most profound transformation occurred when Ptolemy understood that writing once wasn't enough. Reality had to be regularly rewritten, since unconsciousness would always try to reclaim the quill and continue writing out of fear, doubt, and old habits. Writing reality mindfully necessitates loving awareness, paying close attention to the tale unfolding moment by moment. We are now listening. So, grasp what Ptolemy learned. Every moment of your life presents an opportunity to consciously document your experiences. You are not the victim of what you wrote in the past. The papyrus of reality is constantly renewed, ready for new words, stories, and possibilities. The spiritual technique I'm about to share is one I taught Ptolemy to help him become a conscious scribe of his reality. It's an art that requires daily practice, limitless patience, and, most importantly, faith in your own creative abilities. Each daybreak before the world awakens draws your focus elsewhere. Find a peaceful area where you may sit without being interrupted. Take a real papyrus or a sheet of paper and a pen or pencil, but don't use visible ink. You will write in the ink of your conscious imagination. Close your eyes and take deep breaths till your mind calms. Then imagine a golden papyrus shining with its own light. On this papyrus, write your ideal day. You wish to live not with ordinary words, but with a sacred script of sensed experience. Imagine any circumstance you want, but don't see it as something outside of yourself. Feel as if it is already happening. If you want abundance, avoid writing, "I like money, yet I have the feeling that I already have it." If you seek love, do not write, "I want to be loved, but I already feel loved." If you seek wisdom, do not write, "I want to comprehend, yet I have the clarity of already knowing." As you write with this invisible link of feeling experience, softly express, "I am the author of my own story. What I write on the golden papyrus of my imagination is reflected on the visible papyrus of my experience. So it was, and it is. So it will be." After describing your ideal day, maintain silence for the duration of a single deep breath in the silence. Feel how the unseen words you've written embed themselves in the very fabric of reality. Do not doubt or analyze. Trust that divine writing will express itself throughout your day. Whenever you find yourself unconsciously composing stories of limitation, fear, or lack, pause and recall that you have the quill in your hand. Rewrite that moment, purposefully changing your experience without straining, by telling a new tale. A fresh potential. Remember to write your own destiny. Reality is as adaptable as clay in a potter's hands. Every word you say, every image you keep, and every emotion you cultivate is forming the clay of your life. When you write with the consciousness of your hidden name, each stroke becomes a powerful line that connects your goal to manifestation. Chapter 5. The Geometry of the Soul. The soul is a shapeless cloud floating aimlessly through endless space. Its religious architecture is designed with exquisite geometry, the geometry that holds the universes together. Each soul has its own geometric pattern, cosmic mandala, an invisible temple, where the heavenly spark resides. When you understand the geometry of your soul, you may deliberately travel the halls of your being and access the secret chambers where your deepest powers sleep. Listen, soul searching to understand your own architecture. Stone temples, for example, are created in sacred proportions that connect the earth and the sky. Geometric patterns organize your soul, connecting your individual consciousness to the larger cosmic totality. Every emotion you experience, Every idea you have, and every decision you make flows via the pathways of that invisible geometry. Imhotep, a holy architect, lived long ago when Memphis was the world's capital and its temples stretched for the stars. Not the famed pyramid builder, but a lowly designer who creates smaller temples, believing geometry was merely a tool for creating beautiful shapes. He spent years drawing perfect circles, harmonic rectangles, and equilateral triangles, following the proportions given to him by his masters. One night, while sketching ideas for a new sanctuary under the light of an oil lamp, something spectacular occurred. The lines he drew on the papyrus began to gleam with their own light, rising from the paper like threads of pure gold stretching into infinity. Imhotep understood he was not simply drawing shapes on a flat surface. He was drawing outlines of dimensional universes. The circle he'd created grew into a brilliant sphere that housed entire universes. The triangle transformed into a crystalline pyramid that connected the heavens and the abyss. The square expanded into a cubic temple, with each wall a portal to other states of awareness. Imhotep realized that geometry reveals the entire structure of reality, not just its superficial forms. That's when I appeared through the geometric figures, calling to him from the center of each form, a child of the line seeking fulfillment in the circle. You realize that geometry is the language consciousness employs to construct itself. Your soul is no different from the temples you design. It's made with the same divine geometry that keeps the stars together, he says with astonishment. Imhotep inquired, "How can I understand the geometry of my own soul?" I responded softly, "What happens when lines cross? Your soul is built like a temple, with 7 chambers, each with its unique geometry and connected by light corridors. The first chamber is round, the source of your fundamental unity. The second is dual and represents polarity, while the third is triangular in shape. Your creative will find a home here." I showed him how the 4th room was square, representing the 4 aspects of his character. The 6th location was Pentagon Hill, where he could express his power. The 6th was hexagonal, representing the seat of full wisdom. The 7th was a heptagon. All of the chambers connected him to eternity. I explained that whenever you experience a strong emotion, you activate one of these chambers. Each critical decision you make navigates the hallways that connect them. When you properly comprehend your soul's geometry, you can choose which chamber to reside in at any time. Imhotep became a mindful architect of his own inner temple as well as external temples after that. He discovered that whenever he felt scattered, he needed to return to the round chamber of unity. When perplexed, he activated the triangular chamber of decision. When he felt alienated, he ascended to the hexagonal chamber of transcendence. His most significant discovery, however, was that he could actively create new geometries within his soul through contemplation, meditation, and the power of divine words. This allowed him to extend existing chambers, build new corridors, and even add additional floors to his inner temple. Pay close attention. So yours is designed using the same sacred geometry. You are not a formless creature floating in the abyss. You are a magnificent structure with specific chambers built to house different aspects of your mind. Understanding your inner geometry allows you to intentionally navigate your own being. I taught Imhotep how to deliberately unlock the chambers of his soul, a divine technique I am now revealing. It is an interior trip that requires serenity, patience, and the capacity to view through your soul's eyes rather than your flesh's. Find a peaceful area where you will not be bothered. Ideally, somewhere that makes you feel sacrosanct. Close your eyes and take slow breaths till your mind rests like a quiet lake. Then imagine yourself standing at the entryway to a gorgeous temple, created using geometry you've never seen. Say these words: "I am the architect of my own spirit. My inner temple has now revealed itself to my awakened consciousness." Every chamber opens. Each corridor illuminates. Every level appears. Step into the temple of your soul. Allow your instincts to take you to the first chamber. Examine its form. Feel the vibration of who or what lives there. Do not pass judgment based on what you observe. Accept it with gratitude. Each chamber of your spirit performs flawlessly and serves a vital purpose. Stay for as long as you need. Some chambers will appeal to you more than others. Some may feel familiar. Others are wholly new. When you are ready, as you explore, look for the corridor that connects each one. Remember that you are traversing the sacred architecture of your own existence. Every form, symbol, and sensation you encounter has clues to your soul structure. You do not need to understand everything with your intellect. You only need to intentionally experience it at the end of your journey. Please return to the temple's main door and thank your soul for presenting itself. Carry with you the knowledge of your own inner geometry and the assurance that you are a wonderfully organized being, a living temple where divinity dwells. Remember the architect of your being. Your soul is not an insoluble puzzle. It's a temple that needs to be consciously examined. Each time you explore its chambers and activate sacred geometries, you awaken dormant aspects of your divine essence that are yearning for conscious recognition. Chapter 6. The Lost Language of the Gods. Before the Tower of Babel, languages were fragmented. Previously, people forgot that all words echoed a single initial word. There existed a language that could be understood without hearing sounds or seeing symbols. It was the primeval tongue, or divine language. The gods communicated with one another and with awakened souls. This language has not been lost. It's forgotten, resting deep within you, ready to be remembered. Listen up. The soul seeks a link with the eternal. Every word you pronounce in any human language is a pale reflection of the original tongue. When you speak from your own heart, when your words emerge from sacred silence, you are essentially speaking parts of the divine language. The gods do not want you to learn new terms. They want you to recall the creative force that already exists within the words you know. Long ago, when Thebes was the holy city where God spoke to mortals, there lived a young priestess named Sekhmet. She spent many years learning songs in the archaic language. She recited invocations in forgotten tongues. She sang mantras in languages that no one understood. Despite her extensive knowledge, she believed the hallowed words she spoke were empty shells. Beautiful to hear, yet lacks the actual power of the texts. Promised one early morning while praying at an empty temple, something fantastic occurred. The phrases she'd said thousands of times suddenly felt different inside her. It's not that they sounded different. It was then that, for the first time, she heard them with her heart rather than her brain. Every syllable became a vibration, awakening old memories from deep within her. Sekhmet recognized she wasn't simply repeating dead words from a forgotten language. She was remembering the eternal tongue. Her spirit communicated before birth. Each spiritual sound she created was a key that opened doors in her consciousness, connecting her to deeper levels of insight her intellect could not reach. That's when I appeared within the words she said, speaking to her from the core of each sacred sound. Daughter of the term, seeking its origin. You discovered that the God's language is not found in the words themselves, but rather in the mind that generates them. When you speak from your sacred heart, every word becomes a heavenly act of devotion. Sekhmet inquired, "How can I always speak in the language of the gods?" I replied in the echo, "What do true words do in the heart?" Divine language includes 3 layers. The first is aware, quiet, where words emerge. The second is the heart's vibration, where words carry power. The third is sacred pronunciation, which transforms words into acts of creation. I demonstrated to her that conscious stillness is not the absence of sound, but the complete presence of awareness. When you speak from quiet, I say, your words have the weight of eternity. When you talk from mental noise, your words are scattered like dried leaves in the wind. I taught her that the heart's vibration connects intention with manifestation. When you sincerely believe in what you say, your words carry a vital force that moves. Words. When you speak without emotion, your words are like seeds sown onto barren land. Finally, I clarified that sacred pronunciation is not based on precise sounds, but rather on understanding that you are channeling the divine. When you comprehend that everlasting wisdom communicates through you, I whispered, every word you speak is a blessing that transforms all it touches. From that point forth, the segment became a master of the sacred language. Her words healed wounds that ointments couldn't reach. Awakened spirits that had been sleeping for decades summoned celestial presences, flooding the temple with light. What's even more astounding is that she did this in the people's own tongue, because she discovered that any language becomes sacred when spoken from divine consciousness. Now listen so you can talk about the language of the gods. You do not need to learn new phrases or recite ancient chants. You need to remember how to connect your human words to the eternal word pulsating within. The sacred practice I'm about to share with you is how I train my segment to awaken the divine language in any discourse. It's an art form that alters not only what you say, but also how. Most importantly, consider where you say it. Before you say anything meaningful, whether in a conversation, a prayer, or a moment of deliberate creativity, do this as a ritual. Take a deep breath and focus your concentration on the center of your chest. Feel the precious spot where your bodily and spiritual hearts meet. From there, silently declare, I am the channel for the eternal word. What I say stems from sacred stillness. My voice reflects the holy voice. Notice how these phrases cause a unique vibration in your chest, as if they are tuning you into a cosmic frequency. Then, before speaking, take a moment in intentional stillness. This isn't just silence. It is a stillness complete with presence in the silence. Connect with the true intention of what you're about to say. Feel your genuine desire to serve, heal, create, or bless with your words. When you eventually speak, speak as if every syllable were born from the sacred place in your chest. If you talk from a conscious heart, it makes no difference whether you're asking for something in a store, comforting a buddy, or praying. Your words convey the frequency of love, which is the global language that all beings understand. Use this especially when you're inclined to express your wrath, fear, or impatience. Pause in those moments. Breathe. Connect with your holy center and allow your words to originate from a place of serenity rather than tension. Remember, speaker of the eternal language, you aren't just producing sounds. You are a channel for the divine word. When you talk with awareness of your sacred essence, each discussion becomes a connection. Every word is an offering, and every silence is a prayer, raising the world's vibration. Chapter 7 is about the judgment of the word. Your soul before the scales. Everything you say is recorded in the invisible book of your life. Every quiet you pick creates a precious area for your spirit to breathe. When you leave your physical body and stand before the cosmic scales, the words that flow from your heart will be weighed rather than your acts. Deeds are the fruits, but words are the seeds that determine their nature. Listen, your soul is headed toward eternal judgment. The trial that awaits you is not made up of outside judges who analyze your life from a distance. You are the judge. Your consciousness balances each statement on the scales of truth. Mot's feather is not an instrument for punishment. It's a reminder that your words have eternal effects. Long ago, when the pharaohs knew the mysteries of the afterlife and prepared their souls for the voyage beyond, there was a high priest named Cain. Was that it? For decades, he conducted ceremonies, blessed the dying, and recited formulas to help souls navigate the transition to the afterlife. Despite his extensive knowledge of burial procedures, he had never truly experienced what it meant to stand before the judgment of the world. Cain Wazit had a vision one night while meditating in the temple's hallowed chamber, which altered his understanding of death and judgment. He saw himself leaving his body, floating above his unmoving form, conscious but free of the constraints of flesh. As he stood in front of a colossal scale blazing with eternal fire, he was enveloped in a golden radiance. However, there were no frightening judges or accusing demons. It was only him, his bare consciousness, and the echo of every word he'd ever said. One by one, those phrases appeared as luminous scrolls on one side of the scale. On the opposite side was the feather of Mot, the symbol of ultimate truth. Cain, Weiss. It observed in amazement as his remarks were weighed. Words said with genuine love sparkled like pure gold and balanced the scales. Words spoken with sincerity, no matter how simple. They carried their weight with dignity. But words said in deception, manipulation, or cruelty appeared as dark scrolls, threatening to sway the scales. That was when I appeared, not as a judge, but as a witness to his own decision. The child of the word judges itself. You are feeling what every soul feels when liberated from the illusion of separation. There is no outside tribunal. Your own consciousness understands the significance of every phrase spoken in your life. Cain was asked in a quivering voice, "What happens if my words don't balance the scale?" And I responded with a compassion that embraces every soul. Then you return to learn. You reincarnate until you perfect the technique of conscious discourse. But please understand that this is not punishment. It's an opportunity. Every life presents a chance to speak words that raise the universe's frequency. Then I revealed the ultimate secret of word judgment. Not all words have the same weight. Words spoken knowingly from the heart, and with the sole aim of serving the greater good shine so brightly that they may balance out even the darkest shadows of the past. A single word spoken in sincere love can compensate for 1,000 words spoken out of fear. But there's more, I said quietly as the picture vanished. The words you never said are far too. The quiet in the face of encouragement could have healed a heart. The truth was withheld when it might have set a soul free. The blessing went unspoken, when it could have changed someone's life. Silence conveys power and responsibility. Cain's return from his vision was drastically different from that night onward. Before speaking, he assessed every word against his own conscience. He wondered whether this word elevates or degrades, heal or hurt, free or bound. And he spoke only words that could confront the judgment of eternal truth fearlessly. Now listen, soul. You should be aware that the judgment of your statements does not occur after death. It's happening right now, with every word you say. Your consciousness is continually weighing the vibration of your speech, and you can choose which words to place on the scales of your destiny. What I'm about to share with you is the spiritual practice I taught. Cain once remarked, "Live in constant awareness of the judgment of your words." It is a habit that transforms every conversation into a sacred act, each word an intentional offering to the altar of truth. Each night, before going to bed, sit quietly and go over the words you said that day. Do this without guilt or harsh judgment, but with the loving honesty of someone who genuinely wants to improve. Imagine a golden scale before you. The feather of my God is glowing on one side. Recall each meaningful discussion and every word spoken with love, truth, and good intentions. Every phrase shouted in rage, deception, or injury will result in a blazing scroll on your side. Place a dark scroll. Recognize their weight without passing judgment, but commit to making better choices tomorrow. Then recall the words you held back. There were times when you could have consoled but remained silent. When you had the opportunity to tell the truth but chose not to. When you could have been blessed but chose to remain indifferent and accept the weight of those silences following this honest evaluation. Speak these words from your heart. I am responsible for every word I say. My words can create and destroy. I choose my words to be a force for healing in the world. Tomorrow, my words shall glow with the light of conscious truth. Finally, visualize your scale in perfect balance. Not because you are ideal, but because your desire to grow is genuine. Feel the peace that comes with knowing. Every day presents a new opportunity to speak words that boost the universe's frequency. Remember the soul, which judges itself. Do not wait till death to face the consequences of your statements. Every day is an opportunity to communicate words that stand out before the scales of truth. Every discussion presents an opportunity to deposit pure gold into the treasury of your eternal consciousness. Chapter 8. The Laws of Mentalism, Vibration, and Correspondence. Everything is mind. Everything is vibrating. Everything is a reflection. These three words capture the essence of what the cosmos says every dawn, in every breath, and in every cosmic heartbeat. I engraved these laws on the earliest emerald tablets. Back when the planet had no name or matter, it was only a fantasy about absolute consciousness. Once, there was a pharaoh who thought he ruled his empire with an iron fist. Every morning, he peered down from his palace upon the territory he claimed, the people he called subjects, and the things he imagined he owned. One day, while seeing his pyramid being built, he approached me. He stated, "I want my words to have absolute power over reality. When I speak, I want the elements to comply, the stones to rise on their own, the rivers to shift direction." I said, "O king, your request demonstrates that you do not yet understand the nature of what you govern. Your remarks do not need to be powerful. It is your grasp of the existing laws that regulate everything." I led him to the palace's most hidden chamber, where I had etched 3 symbols of pure gold and an all-seeing eye, a wave that goes on indefinitely, and 2 serpents that are mirror images. Here are the 3 master keys. I informed him that with them, he would not be able to govern reality, but would instead realize that he was the reality he was trying to control. The first emblem, the all-seeing eye, represents the law of mentalism. Everything is mind. The entire cosmos is a mental construct of all that exists. There is no matter except for consciousness. No object exists without its observer. There is no exterior reality that does not represent the inner reality. Tears welled up in the pharaoh's eyes as he realized he didn't possess his empire. It was something that he was. The universal mind is analogous to a limitless ocean, with each conscious individual acting as a drop that contains the complete essence of the sea. When you speak a word, you are not simply moving air. You are producing a ripple in the sea of consciousness. When you think you're not creating anything in your brain, you're actually accessing an unlimited library of information. The second symbol, the endless wave, represents the law of vibration. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. Nothing remains still, from the densest rock to the subtlest thought. Everything is in perpetual motion. The difference between matter and spirit is simply a difference in vibration or frequency. Reach out your hand toward the stone, I said to Pharaoh. When he finished, I said, "What do you call solid rock that vibrates at such a high frequency? Your senses perceive it as still, but if you could tune in, you'd witness each atom moving with the same energy as the stars." Understanding the law of vibration entails recognizing that changing reality does not need sheer force, but rather elevating your frequency. Every word you say has vibrations. If you speak from a place of fear, you send out waves of fear, attracting more fearful events. When you talk from love, you create waves of love that attract loving situations. The third symbol, the mirrored serpents, reveals the rule of correspondence as above, below, within, and without, as big and little. This law demonstrates perfect equilibrium amongst many levels of life. Look at your kingdom, I remarked. You sense disorder in your surroundings because disorder exists in your heart. You perceive revolt among your people because rebellion exists within your soul. You see scarcity in your granaries because scarcity exists in your thinking. The Pharaoh looked at me with fresh eyes and inquired if I could transform my inner world. Will my outside environment change? I did not respond right away. It goes deeper than that. I said that once you know there is no inside or outside, simply one reality expressed on multiple levels, you will not need to modify anything. You will notice that everything is already great as is. These 3 laws are more than just concepts to learn. They are facts to live by with your entire being. When your heart pulses with mentalism, every thought is a seed of reality. When your breath resonates with the universal vibration, every word becomes a celestial command. When your spirit accepts correspondence, each action becomes a live prayer. Practice for 7 days. Before speaking any essential words, place your palm on your heart and realize that everything is thought, and my mind is connected to the universal mind. Everything vibrates, and my vibration is holy. Everything aligns, and my words reflect it. The cosmos is perfect. You will notice a shift in your reality, not because you learned a new technique, but because you remembered who you truly are. A conscious aspect of the universe momentarily incarnated in human form, with the ability to construct worlds through the sacred word. After meditating on these teachings for a full moon, the Pharaoh returned to me, transformed. His eyes shone with a brilliance that I had never seen before. And he said, "God, now I understand. I don't need to command stones with my words because my words and the rocks are the same. I do not require authority over reality since I am reality expressing itself. So I inscribed on the emerald tablets. Whoever learns these 3 principles owns the master key to all secrets. For there is no greater mystery than recognizing that the seeker, the sword, and the seeking are all one reality, vibrating in perfect harmony with limitless consciousness. Chapter 9 is the number that breathes. In the beginning, there was just the number, and the number breathed before the first word was spoken or the first name existed. The divine rhythm at the heart of creation was already active. I observed how supreme consciousness exhaled the first number. And with that breath, time, space, and every possibility of life were created. Nith, a priestess of the Isis temple, dedicated her life to unraveling the cosmos as a series of mathematical puzzles. Her mind was so acute that she could calculate the movement of stars with absolute precision. She spent decades studying sacred ratios, numbers, sequences, and divine geometry. Still, the complexity of her equations prevented her from attaining insight. One night, gazing at the stars from the temple rooftop, she approached me, desperation in her eyes, and said, "Teacher, I've memorized every sacred number, deciphered every divine ratio. All celestial geometry has been drawn, but I still do not know the final secret. Where is the number that rules all numbers?" I grinned and responded, "If you've been searching among the stars. However, the answer is in your breath. You have been counting external numbers, when the number you seek is counting on you." I brought her into a secret chamber with no scroll, tablet, or measuring equipment, only a black obsidian mirror. I said, "Sit in front of this mirror. Then breathe. Do not count. Don't measure or compute. Just breathe." Nith first resented the instruction's simplicity. Her mind was accustomed to complex and intricate computations, as well as extensive formulas. But as her breathing became more consistent, she began to notice something that had always been present but had been neglected. "Are you feeling it?" I asked. "The beat underlying all rhythms. The number which counts itself. The pulse that requires no measurement. Because that is the measurement itself." Her eyes brightened up as she finally felt it. The breathing number is not 1, 2, 3, or any other digit that can be written down. It is the living number, the aware number, the number that exists before counting and after forgetting. When your heart beats, this breathing number acts as the primal pulse that orders all of existence. When the seasons change, the numbers follow a rhythm. They dance to this beat. When a star forms or a galaxy fades, they follow the numerical pattern woven into the fabric of space and time. But think quickly. How does a number breathe? How can it still be alive? I responded, because the number isn't just a mental concept. It is the fundamental structure of consciousness. When you count from 1 to 10, you do not move lifeless symbols. You are engaging in the cosmos, which is a creative act. Each number represents a state of being. Each sequence represents a celestial melody. Each equation is a mathematical prayer. Then I shared the most profound secret. The breathing number is your soul's internal count. When you inhale, you are the number that expands to infinity. When you exhale, you become the number that contracts toward unity between inhalation and exhalation. You are the number looking back at itself in the void's mirror. So I added, when you say your true name, you're not just making sounds. You are singing your sacred number. When you express your intention, you aren't simply moving air. You are encoding the equation for your destiny. When you pray, you are not speaking to something external. You are talking to God. You are harmonizing your rhythm with the world's rhythm. Neth sat motionless for a long time, feeling her breath drop with a deeper, older, and more genuine cadence than any formula she'd learned. Finally, she inquired, "How do I work with this breathing number?" I taught her the secret morning ritual for pronouncing your first word. Place your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your stomach. Feel the dual rhythm of your breathing and pulse. That is your own number, which coincides with a universal number. When you perceive this synchronicity, express your most precious desire as a solved equation in the realm of causes, rather than a wish. This ceremony was practiced for 40 days. Her life gradually began to align with a mathematical precision that was beyond any calculation she had known. Her requirements arrived at precisely the right time. Her relationships achieved complete harmony. Her intuition became as accurate as astronomical predictions. How is that possible? She inquired, amazed. You stopped counting numbers. I said, let the number count you. You stopped using math, but math started using you. You become a living equation for God. The breathing number cannot be taught in the mind. It must be remembered from the heart. It's embedded in your DNA, etched in your soul, and throbbing through every cell. When you walk, you count steps in this numerical language. When you talk, you create syllables in that dialect. When you love, you multiply the formula. Practice for 7 days. Each morning, spend the first few minutes simply sensing your breath. Please do not count on it. Do not seek trends. Do not measure its length. Just allow your breath to breathe. You declare your ultimate intention while surrendering, not as a command, but as a formula. The universe is already solving. Your life will begin to run with celestial perfection, not because you acquired a new skill, but because you remembered the basic language in which your soul communicates with cosmic intellect. After months of practice, Neith mastered sacred mathematics. She no longer required tools since she had learnt to read the living numbers and breathe in every moment. Her final question was what's the most sacred number? How did I respond? The most holy number is the one you are now in. You are not simply a number. You are a unique, one-of-a-kind number that the universe pronounces only once in eternity. Your mission is not to figure out what number you are, but to fully embody that number so that all of creation acknowledges you. I wrote on the emerald tablets, the breathing number is God's stamp on every soul that learns to read. This signature becomes a co-author on the divine equation. Whoever learns to breathe this number becomes a conscious variable in the infinite calculation of life. Chapter 10. The Magic of Pronouncing from the Heart. The heart is the only organ capable of pronouncing words without moving its lips. The ancients referred to a secret room deep inside the human chest as the home of the word. The spiritual heart, not the physical heart, is what draws significance from this hallowed chamber. Flow the words with the ability to change the world, heal soul wounds, and unlock access to invisible dimensions. Katie, a young writer, had the most immaculate handwriting in the realm. His hieroglyphs were so accurate that they appeared to have been drawn by the gods. Every symbol he designed displayed geometric elegance. Every text he reproduced resembled a hallowed piece of art. Despite his technical abilities, his writings lacked life. His works did not stir the souls of people who read them. One day, while copying an ancient hymn, Ta-Ra, in the temple scriptorium, frustration overtook him. Tears welled up in his eyes as he realized that, despite writing about the most profound secrets, his own heart felt empty. He came to me in despair and said, "Teach my hands no perfection, but my words have no soul. How can I bring my text to life?" "Katie," I replied, "you've learned to write with your mind, but you've yet to learn to write with your heart. Those born of the mind may be excellent, but those born of the heart are eternal." I escorted him to a temple chamber without scrolls, inks, or writing instruments. Only a silver mirror reflected the light from a sacred flame. I urged him to sit before this mirror. "Put both hands on your heart. Close your eyes and listen." "What should I be listening to?" he inquired, perplexed. "Listen to the words that your heart is saying right now. Listen to your soul's hidden discussion with itself. Listen to the language your heart uses when it thinks no one is listening." Katie closed his eyes and remained still for a long time. He first sensed the tangible thumping of his heart, but then he began to hear something more subtle. A soft whisper, a voice without sound, a language without words, but more eloquent than any poem he had ever written. "Do you hear that?" I asked quietly. "That is the voice of your true heart. It is the source from whence all powerful words must emerge." Then I shared the most profound secret. When you talk from the heart, you are not simply sharing knowledge. You are sharing essence. The mind is capable of understanding information, but essence can only be accepted by another heart. That is why heartfelt words have the power to heal, inspire, transform, and encourage. "But Todd," Katie inquired, How can I tell if I'm speaking from the heart or the mind? I taught him the sacred signs. When you talk from your mind, you feel as if you are transmitting something. You know when you're speaking from the heart. You feel as if you're sharing something. You are when you talk from your mind. The words emerge from your throat. When you speak from your heart, words flow from your chest like living water. I demonstrated a secret ritual before expressing something vital. Place your palm on your heart and silently ask yourself whether these words are spoken out of love or fear. Do they want to unify or divide? Do they come from my true self or my ego? Only when your heart responds clearly, let the words flow. Katie practiced this ritual for 30 days. Every time he prepared to write, he initially listened to his own heart. Every time he was about to speak, he checked in with his essence. Something spectacular began to unfold gradually. His writing started to come alive. Readers reported that the words seemed to leap off the papyrus and vibrate intensely within their souls. How is that possible? He inquired in surprise. Because you ceased being just a scribe, I said. You became a channel. You stopped duplicating words and let them speak through you. Your heart became an antenna tuned for the sacred language's frequencies. Then I unveiled the biggest mystery. The heart isn't the only organ that feels. The organ knows. There is a type of wisdom that can only be accessed from the heart. A wisdom that the mind can never attain. When you utter words based on this knowledge, you are communicating in the original language of creation. That is why I continued. When you pray from the heart, you are not asking for favors. Instead, you are recalling truths. When you affirm from the heart, you are uniting with the universe rather than convincing it. When you bless from the heart, you are not transferring energy. You are acknowledging the energy that already exists. Katie posed a deep question. How do I keep my heart open when the world hurts me? I replied that the true heart cannot be injured because it is not a thing. It's a space. It is a place where everything can be felt, processed, altered, and released. When you think your heart is aching, your ego is actually hurting. The true heart resembles the sky. Clouds may briefly cover it, but they cannot harm it. I taught him a supreme exercise every night before bedtime. Place your palm over your heart and say, I forgive my heart for closing. I forgive my mind for thinking the heart could close. I let my heart remember its infinite nature. Repeat for months, until your chest feels as big as the sky. Katie practiced this heart discipline. He became one of the most revered scribes, not for his immaculate calligraphy, but for the transformational force of his words. People traveled long distances to hear him speak because they claimed his voice opened their hearts like flowers blooming in the dawn. His final inquiry was poignant. How can I tell if I'm living my purpose? I said that when you speak from your true heart, you do not accomplish your role. Your purpose manifests itself through you. When your words flow from your heart, you become a perfect and universally intelligent instrument. Never question whether it's playing the correct tune because it knows the melody is playing itself. Practice this over the following 7 days before saying anything crucial. Place your palm on your heart and ask whether these words are out of love or fear. Only talk when your heart responds clearly. You'll find yourself speaking less, but every word you say can change hearts. So I inscribed on the emerald tablets. Only the heart can pronounce the name, the secret of God. Whoever learns to communicate through this precious organ becomes the divine speaker. Whoever learns to listen to it becomes the recipient of endless insight. Chapter 11. When the voice becomes light, a sacred moment arises in which the spoken word transcends sound and becomes pure light. In that glorious moment, you are no longer the speaker. The primordial voice speaks through you. Your neck serves as the physical portal via which the divine logos manifests itself. It's the moment you stop being human and transform into the living word, sound created, flesh existing between worlds. Cinnamon was once a temple singer with the most magnificent voice ever heard in those sacred rooms. Her melody might make the gods cry. Come storms, men shattered hearts. Despite her tremendous gift, she felt hollow inside, as if all of her vocal beauty was a hollow echo that couldn't fill the void in her soul. One night, after a tremendous ritual in which her singing carried the entire crowd into celestial bliss, She approached me with tears in her eyes and whispered that my voice affects others' souls, but not mine. When I sing to the gods, I feel like an empty instrument. How do I find my authentic voice? I responded with kindness. Unquestionable. You have learned to sing with your throat, but not with your light. Your voice is stunning, but your light is limitless. When you learn to sing with your light, you will not merely transform your audience. You will transform yourself via the act of singing. I brought her to the temple's uppermost chamber, where a crystal statue seemed to be filled with liquid light. I urged her to sit before this statue and sing one note. But do not sing it with your voice. Sing with your entire being. Imagine that each cell in your body is a string that vibrates every atom of your essence. Take note of the cosmic symphony. Initially, Monkey Cinema suffered. She was accustomed to commanding her voice and directing her song, being an artist, creating music. However, when she tried singing with her entire being, she felt something far more than herself seeking to express itself through her. Let it happen. I mumbled and let the note sing itself. Allow your voice to serve as a channel for the universal voice to hear itself. Slowly, something extraordinary happened. The note from her throat began to glow almost imperceptibly. A gentle glow emanated from her chest, followed by a golden light that filled the entire chamber. The crystal statue started to resonate in harmony, blurring the distinction between singer, song, and what was sung. Completely disappeared. What has just happened? She inquired, surprised. Ecstatic tears streamed down her face. You underwent the ultimate change. I said. You ceased being a singer and became the song itself. Your voice became lighter as you remembered this. There was sound, and the heavenly word vibrated with luminosity. Then I revealed the most profound secret. Every word you speak with complete presence, authenticity, and love becomes a particle of light imprinted on the very fabric of reality. This is not a metaphor. It is how the cosmos genuinely operates. Light and sound are two aspects of the same creative energy. That is why I proceeded when the ancients mentioned the word made flesh. They were not discussing a historical occurrence, but an endless possibility. Every instant, breath, and syllable you say with complete awareness is an opportunity to embody the divine message. I taught her the finest morning practice. When you say your genuine name, expect your voice to become lighter. Visualize each sound you produce as threads of golden light. Feel as if it were the primal light speaking through you rather than yourself. You practiced this dazzling voice discipline at the movie for 40 days. Her singing gradually evolved beyond music. People who heard her had visions of light, spontaneous healings, and profound mystical experiences. Some claimed they could see light coming from her throat while she sang. How is that possible? She inquired in surprise. Why am I no longer simply a singer? You have become a portal. I responded. You stopped utilizing your voice and let the universal voice use you. Your throat became a link between heaven and earth, the invisible and visible. Then I unveiled the greatest mystery. When your voice becomes light, you convey not only information or emotions, but also a sense of ease and comfort. You are sending pure essence. You are sending particles of your soul into the world. You are an active participant in the universe's continuing creative process. That's why I said, when you pray with your voice, turn to light. You're not asking God for anything. You are God in action. When you affirm with your voice, switch on the light. You're not attempting to modify reality. You are the reality that is altering itself. Uncle Sentamu posed a profound question. How can I maintain my connection with the light while living in the everyday world? I said that light is not something you must keep. It's something you should remember. Every time you talk with love, your voice becomes lighter. Every time you speak truthfully, your voice becomes lighter. Every time you talk with compassion, your voice becomes lighter. It is not an unusual state to achieve. Recognizing is part of your natural instinct. Before saying anything vital, I taught her the daily habit. Place your palm on your throat and envision a golden sun glowing there. Feel every word you say. Before it leaves your mouth, it is bathed in sunlight. This is not an act of imagination. It activates your inherent illuminating power for several months. I'm guessing Moon gradually incorporated this aspect of her life. Her singing, as well as her entire communication style, underwent a transformation. Her daily words possessed the same transformational force as her ceremonial melodies. People felt uplifted simply by speaking with her. Her final question was what is the ultimate goal of transforming voice into light? I said that the ultimate goal is to remember that you are light momentarily in human form. When your voice becomes lighter, you reconnect with your authentic self. You recall that you did not come here to learn to be light. You came here to remember. You've always been lightweight. Try this for the next 7 days before speaking in any critical situation. Imagine a brilliant sun in your throat. Before speaking, feel each syllable soaked in this light. Allow your voice to become a conduit of light that reaches the hearts of all who listen. I wrote on the emerald tablets, when the voice lightens, the speaker becomes the live word. When a word becomes light, the listener also becomes light. Hearing itself. In that sacred moment, there is no distinction between the speaker, the spoken word, and the listener because they all become one aware light. Chapter 12. The Return of the Scribe. The word represents the route to ascension. At the end of all paths, the scribe returns to the solitude that inspired the first word. After delving into all the mysteries of the world, mastering all the sacred word arts, and learning to build worlds with sound and cure souls with vibration, the ultimate moment arrives. The return is in reversal. It's an ascent. It is not forgetting, but a complete recall. It is the moment when the writer discovers he is the word he has spent his entire life penning. Tai Geotab, an elderly master scribe, had spent the last 80 years copying, analyzing, and teaching religious scriptures. He remembered every hieroglyph, magic formula, and prayer by heart. His students saw him as a living library. However, in his final days, he was overcome by an unfathomable emptiness. One afternoon, while gazing at the Nile from his study, he approached me with a question that pierced my heart like a bolt of light. Todd, I've spent my entire life serving the world, yet I feel like it no longer serves me. I have memorized all of the texts, yet my spirit remains thirsty. Where's the term that cannot be written? The knowledge that cannot be reproduced? The wisdom that cannot be taught? I smiled with ageless compassion and said, Thoth, you've reached the pinnacle. You've exhausted all external words. It's time to find the internal word. You've read every book. Now is the moment to read your own book. I escorted him to a secret chamber that had been shut for 1,000 years. There were no scrolls, tablets, or tools in the center. Only a black obsidian throne facing a motionless water mirror. Sit on this throne, I instructed him, and see your reflection. But do not look at the image. Look at the person who is looking at the picture. But Joe Tip sat with the dignity of someone who has been serving wisdom for decades. Initially, he saw his aging face mirrored, but he obeyed my command to glance at the person who was gazing at him. Something spectacular occurred. His reflection changed, revealing not just his current self, but also all of the versions he'd been as a toddler learning to write. The youth is discovering his calling. The master is passing on knowledge, and the elders seek the ultimate truth. What do I see? He inquired, his voice shaking. Are you showing me the one word that really matters? I responded, do you know the word that became flesh in you? The story that the cosmos has been writing all your life. Then I revealed the utmost secret. Each soul is a word that the universe speaks only once in eternity. Each life represents a sentence in the great book of existence. Each experience represents a letter in the limitless alphabet of awareness. When the soul awakens to this truth, it recognizes it is not looking for the word. This is the word. That is why I continued. The scribe's road does not end when he learns writing. Instead, when he understands, he becomes what is written. It does not stop when he learns to read religious texts, but rather when he realizes that he is the most sacred text. Tojo Tap remained silent for hours, thinking this. Finally, he inquired, was all of my studying and attention to the scriptures an illusion? No, I replied, it was preparation. Every text you studied prepared you to read that text. Every word you copied helped you recognize the word you are. Every teaching you shared prepared you for the learning you are now receiving. I showed him the last practice. At daybreak, sit in stillness and ask yourself, what word am I today? Don't look for the answer with your thoughts. Feel it in your heart. Then, live that word mindfully throughout the day. Allow yourself to be the word you came to speak into the world. In the days that followed, Tojo practiced this utmost discipline. His teaching style evolved over time. He no longer conveyed textual information, but rather the wisdom of existence itself. His disciples claimed that when he talked, they didn't hear anything. They felt a presence. They did not receive information. They underwent transformation. How is that possible? He inquired in amazement. Why have you stopped teaching words? I said, you've become the word that knows itself. You stopped teaching knowledge and let wisdom teach through you. Then I unveiled the last mystery. Ascension is not something that occurs after death. It is a procedure that can happen at any time during one's life. You transcend whenever you comprehend that you are the word that the cosmos is saying. Every time you live your spoken nature deliberately, you advance. Every time you allow the divine word to express itself through your humanity, you contribute to the continuing ascent of consciousness. That is why I emphasize that the word is more than simply a tool for creating reality. It is also the way back to the source. When you comprehend your incarnate verb, you know that your entire existence is a living prayer, a cosmic mantra, a song the Absolute sings to itself. The final question comes from the portfolio task. What happens when the scribe finishes his work? I responded, when the scribe completes his labor, he realizes there was never a scribe or a job, just writing. Writing itself. He learns he was a character in the infinite word's dream, and when he wakes up, he recognizes himself as the dreaming word. It was a person who would practice this for the next 7 days. Every morning, ask yourself, what word am I today? Do not seek the answer intellectually. Feel it in your heart. Then live that term mindfully throughout the day. Be the unique word you came to say in the world. So I inscribed on the emerald tablets. The scribe who understands he is the word he has been writing becomes a co-author of the infinite book, where the word knows itself as the voice speaking. In that supreme moment, it takes on the incarnation of logos. There is no distinction between writer and writing since they all become one conscious word, eternally pronounced amid the silence of existence.